We're excited that you're going to be a part of this with us. There's people all over the nation right now that doctors have referred to join this webinar, and we want to welcome you. There's people that know of us that are tuning in because they're used to hearing our information and the research we give, and we're excited that you're here with us too. So for those of you that are new, we want to go a little bit into the background of myself and our company to help you understand why it's important for you to listen a little more attentively to see this afternoon, and how you can actually trust the things that we're saying. I was the first nutritionist hired as a full-time staff member by an MBA team quite a few years back. And I work with our team here to create nutrition and formulation programs for elite athletes, sick patients, and basically everyone in between. We also trained over 40,000 one-on-one training sessions, and we've taught over 10,000 chiropractors, holistic MDs, DOs, NDs, and have been the nutritionist for many of the professional athletic teams and that throughout the world, and different actors that we've worked with. Also, we work hard on the research end, and we hold a patent on anabolic cellular delivery, which just means it keeps people in an anabolic state to be able to build muscle and to be able to stay strong. And we wrote quite a few books in that on nutrition and fitness. So we're excited you're here with us. We work hard to walk the talk and do things in the world to try to exemplify the things we teach, that you can be stronger, faster, live longer, be able to have less disease if you eat healthy and exercise properly. And so my commitment to you today, for taking time away from your busy day at work and with families, I want to be really straightforward with you. We're going to share an exact strategy that will enable you to reprogram your cravings and your emotions based from new research. And the new research is on something called the gut-brain axis and psychobiotics. Now, that might not mean a lot to you right now, but hopefully here at the end of the seminar, it'll mean a lot to you. So we're going to help you to reprogram those cravings. In other words, not craving the junk food as much, and being able to have a positive mindset to help you stay with your goals and with the things you like to do, to be just a nicer person. And you'll see how we're going to do that. We're also going to provide a system for you used by thousands of doctors, athletes, and the public that's created the ability to lose excess body fat, gain muscle, and have that strong, committed mindset toward health optimization. Now, that exact program, so exactly what you're going to do, we're going to provide to you. And that's one thing that's exciting. Many times we do lectures and we go through new research and information, and it's great to hear, but there's no real application at the end. Like, okay, well, how do I take that? How do I implement that in my life? I want to make these changes. We're going to give you that program today in detail. Now, one of the things that we do is we partner with doctors from all over the world as their nutrition specialists. And many of you had your doctors come on today to watch this webinar. And it's because we've partnered with them so that they can do what they do best, whether they're working with the spine, they're doing surgeries, or they're doing other things that's their specialty. They have partnered with us as the experts in nutrition and in formulations to be able to provide that information to them so they don't have to spend all their time on that aspect. It allows them to be more holistic in their practice, being able to treat the whole body. They don't have to know everything, but they need to be associated with experts who do. And we're very honored to be teamed up and as a partner with many of your health professionals as the experts to provide this information to them. This is a seminar just a few days ago that we taught in Phoenix, Arizona. We had, I think, over 200 doctors from all over the world, from Trinidad, everyone in America, Canada, from the Philippines, and it was just awesome to be able to spend time. And we shared the information with them that we're going to share with you now. And it was exciting because they ran out of there with the programs and the systems that we're going to talk about to come back and be able to give to their patients, to be able to help them reprogram their cravings. So many of these doctors we're going to refer you back to today to be able to get the program that we're talking about and be able to implement in your life. So we're wanting you to watch to the end of this webinar today. It's very important because we're going to go through some game-changing information for everyone that struggles with sticking with healthier eating habits. And you're going to learn where to go to implement the new research and the system. And we're going to go through some phenomenal new research with detailed findings that will change 100 years of thought. In other words, what we've thought for 100 years, we know now not necessarily to be true. In fact, it's not that it's not true, it's that there's more to it. And there's some exciting things that you're going to actually hear about for the first time. So I want to give you a little hint and suggestion right now. Close your Facebook, your Instagram, your emails, whatever communicating device you've got out right now. Put it to the side. Give me your focus for the next half hour and work with me on really bringing in this information, because it is some game-changing information, different from what most of you have been taught before, but we're going to give the research studies to show it. But if you'll focus your mind and connect with me through this, it'll be a life-changing experience for you. So, you know, there's a person that just sent, I think, a day or two ago, this testimonial from starting on the information that we're going to share with you today. And he said, my life was changed. Anyone who has felt lack of control food-wise, try this. It's a digestive health approach to your eating habits for life. Been doing this since 12/26/19, and I'm blown away. Tried keto, macros, intermittent fasting, calorie restriction. In 34 years, I've not been able to have sincere discipline regarding food, especially taste-related cravings. This, truthfully, has my cravings reprogrammed to the feeling foods given me after eating them. And there's still so much freedom and savory options. Losing body fat, increasing energy and clear thinking, increasing motivation for gym and better sleep. And I believe just heard later, or a little bit earlier today, that this person's already lost almost 20 pounds and not on a diet. Just make these changes, cut out certain things, reprogram the brain so he didn't crave the bad foods as often. And I thought that was kind of neat. So I throw that in there today just to see that it can be. Gave a little mind-blowing emoji on there. So I want you to know why the information I'm going to give you next, that I am able to give that, why I'm an authoritative position to be able to present this information to you. And that's very important. And so a long time ago, this is a very long time ago, with a very good friend of mine, his name Dr. Kim Shahani. And he was the world's leading authority in what we're going to be talking quite a bit about today, and that's probiotics or friendly flora, you know, those things that are in yogurt and that you hear about. And he was the world's leading authority, had over 300 studies that were published in peer-reviewed journals. Like you might have heard of the American Medical Association or New England Journal of Medicine, or you hear people quote, you know, from studies. And most of the time, because they've been peer-reviewed, accepted by these groups as proven as fact and that they were done well. Well, he had over 300 of them on this subject, and he was the first person ever to put together these probiotics so they actually get in the stomach and be able to reprogram the mind and your cravings. And so I was really fortunate to work under him. And I had read a book a long time ago, Think and Grow Rich, where it said, for those of you that aren't the smartest, you want to assemble a team of the smartest. And so I knew I wasn't, so I assembled the team of the best minds in the world. And luckily he was one of them. And a lot of the information I'm sharing with you comes from his research. So I want you for a second just to close your eyes, and I want you to imagine that you can easily pass over the candies, the pastries, your favorite ice cream, sodas, and any other junk food that you come around and, you know, if I want it, I'll take a bite, but I don't need to. I'm not tempted at that level where I just cave in. How about also that you can picture yourself craving healthier foods like vegetables and fruits? And for some of you, that's tough, right? Like you're actually enjoying a lot of the vegetables that are out there. Your body's craving them. What would that be like? Really imagine that. And how to have an extremely strong and healthy, positive mindset towards health and life. In other words, always thinking the positive and being the optimist. And sometimes some of you are, but sometimes we find ourselves in a negative position. Like, why am I thinking bad? Why am I thinking negative in this? I usually don't do that. You're going to find out that many times it's because of something that's a little bit out of your control. There's some things you can do to fix that. Imagine having your body shape and your body fat in a place that you're happiest and healthiest. In just a place that you're happy to go anywhere at any time. You want to go swimming, you want to go to the beach, you want to hang out, you want to wear the clothes that you would like, that you're just comfortable, that you're comfortable and you're happy in doing that. So the new research shows that all of these things are possible. It's not easy, but it's much easier than it has been in the past. And anyone tells you that making changes and that is just, oh, it's super easy, no big deal, here's this magic pill, run. What I'm telling you is that there are things I'm going to share with you now will make it easier, so that, you know how you started and you didn't quite stick with it and dang, you just fell off? Well, that little edge to keep you on, to when you make changes, to be able to stick with them. That's what we're going to do today and show you how to apply it. So some of you heard about genetics, but genetics are like, oh, well, that's my genetics. I'm programmed that way. It's the way I look. That's, my size. That's why I crave certain things. That's why, I'm prone to die of heart disease or whatever it might be. And for a few years, a lot of people thought that was true, but we know it's not now. There's something that's called epigenetics. And all epigenetics means is above genetics, that it's been proven that your mindset, your environment, in other words, who you hang out with, right? Okay, your nutrition, all of that can override your genetics. That if you're eating right, getting good movement, and you're around the right people, your environment, that you actually can reprogram your genetics, that you don't have to fall prey to them. So that is great news for a lot of us that don't have the greatest genetics in the world. We're able to reprogram that in epigenetics, a great new field of study. In fact, we tour all over the nation doing a 4-day seminar with doctors on genetics on this subject. So there's two of the greatest scientific advancements in our lifetime. And some of you are familiar with the sequencing of the human genome. Some of you don't care, but it was a really cool thing. And what came out of that? Well, for a lot of you, what came out of that was Ancestry DNA, 23andMe, those types of things. The reason that we can even do those tests and have fun with that is because of the sequencing of the human genome. But it also has enabled us to really do some great work, as I mentioned, that we travel around teaching. But the other advancement is a profiling of the microbiome, the gut flora. And a lot of us might not understand, like, what? That's one of the greatest scientific advancements and breakthroughs? It is. It's reported in Scientific Journal. And we're going to share with you why that the understanding of the little friendly bacteria that live in your gut, the microbiome or friendly flora, is so important, and it's one of the greatest breakthroughs in our lifetime. So the first thing that I'm going to share with you, I'm going to call it breakthrough one, is this, is that it's not your fault that you don't stick to your decision to stop eating junk food or start exercising regularly. It's not your fault. It's your bacteria's fault. Now, for real, so I'm not joking. It's your bacteria's fault. The new research has showed us why that statement is so true. So in order to get there, you got to roll with me for a minute. Most of you have heard the claim, if you can think back and you went through 101 way back in chemistry or organic chemistry or in high school, sometimes in just anatomy, they would say, hey, you're only 90% human because you have foreign bacterial cells and they account for 10% of your body. So you're 90% human, 10% these cells, these bacterial cells, some good, some bad. Well, that actually wasn't true. And research has shown, a new study, it was done in 2016, they were able to find a way to actually count exactly and not guess. And we know now that we're a 50-50 ratio. In other words, we're actually 50% human and 50% these microbiomes, these bacteria, hopefully most of them good. And so thinking about it that way, you're like, wait a second, half of me is this bacteria. I better figure out making sure I get the right ones and the healthy ones and the ones that are going to benefit me. And it is true. And it's super, super important. And just to back that up, there was a study done, clinical microbiology and infection, and I know y'all are big readers of that, but basically what it showed was that the microbiome, and you're going to hear me say words microbiome, microbiota, probiotics, flora, bacteria, good bacteria, friendly flora, good bacteria, probiotics, microbiome are all the same thing. They're the good bacteria in your body, the good guys that help your immune system and help you be strong and be able to create good thoughts, as you'll see. So when I say these words, the microbiota, probiotic, flora, that is all meaning the good bacteria. And so in this study, they showed that the microbiota, the good flora, constitutes the last human organ under research, active research. So now we've actually identified it as an organ. So just like you have a liver, like you have a couple kidneys, a heart, the microbiota, the bacteria, are actually looked at and treated as an organ. And so we have to understand that how they're affected affects the whole body. And so back to the first where I said we're going to talk about these two things, the gut-brain axis. What that means is that in your gut, that there are certain things that will trigger chemicals that go to your mind, to your brain, that determine your mood. There are things called serotonin and dopamine, and we'll talk about them. And 90% of them, as you'll see in the research, comes from your gut. So it's really important to take care of your gut, because that affects whether you're happy or sad, moody or not. And then we're going to talk about psychobiotics. And that is how your gut helps with your cravings. In other words, do you crave healthy foods, or do you crave the soda and the hamburgers and the fries and the junk like that? And that's a field of study that we're going to show you how to control. So I'm going to mention a couple words to you that might not make a lot of sense, but I'm just going to go over them with you so you understand. And it's called the gut-brain axis. It's a communication from your gut, okay, to your brain. And it does it, so your gut communicates with your brain through this thing called the enteric nervous system and a very special set of nerves called the vagus nerve. You don't need to memorize that or anything, but the best way to explain it to you is if you remember seeing the pictures of the human body, and it has the brain and the nerves go down the spine and out to all your extremities, your arms and your feet and all that. Well, that's that network. But the gut, your bowel, is not in that network. It's completely separate. And it has its own nervous system, the enteric nervous system, and it communicates with the brain. So basically, if you got your spine severed, your gut could still work because it's separate. Okay, it's a separate system. A lot of times it's called the second brain. And that second brain, your gut, will do things and make chemicals and communicate with your brain to determine a lot of things. And that's what we're excited about, that we're going to share with you. So hormones, peptides, chemicals like serotonin, they're all made in your gut through that enteric nervous system, and they can make your way into your circulation and, more importantly, get to the brain. And it helps with mood and cognitive function, which just means how smart you are, how quick you are. A lot of times you're quicker and you can retain things more than others. Your stress levels, your appetite, and your sleep. And these are a couple of the studies that tell us this, that we know this to be true. And you'll see that research is done in 2017, 2018. This is all brand new stuff. So you can see the little probiotics up there, the little friendly bacteria that are in your gut, and they go around. And a great PhD, it's a good friend of ours, he said probiotics have been shown to ameliorate, to get rid of both depression and anxiety, and can even improve ADHD behavior. Probiotics can. Think about that for a minute. We can get rid of or help with depression and anxiety if we have the right types of friendly bacteria in our body and get rid of the bad guys. So that's an exciting concept. Now, I mentioned that 90% of the serotonin made in the body was made by the flora. And a lot of you are like, what's serotonin? I've heard of that word before, that chemical, but what is it? Well, it's a chemical that's made that goes to your brain. And if you have a shortage of serotonin, you have sad, depressed moods, low energy, negative thoughts about people and things. You feel tense and irritable. You crave sweets and have a reduced interest for sex. And other serotonin-related disorders include depression and anxiety. So what does that tell you? That tells me that we want to have serotonin. We want to have it made. We don't want to have low serotonin, or else we get sad, depressed, low energy, negative thoughts, crave sweets, all of those things. And this study is called Indigenous Bacteria from the Gut Microbiota Regulate Whole Serotonin. Oh, that's a big, long word and long study. But the most important thing is this. More than 90% of the body's serotonin is synthesized in the gut. Okay, in the gut itself. So I'm going to share with you a little video here just to explain some of the studies that I've already gone over with you to help kind of illustrate a little bit more and bring it home.
But over the last few years, evidence has emerged that the influence of our gut microbiome goes much, much further. It might even talk directly to our brain. We've observed a few curious things. 90% of our body's serotonin, an important messenger substance for nerve cells, is produced in the gut. Some scientists think the microbiome does this to communicate with the vagus nerve, the information highway of our nervous system. Other examples are bacteria that stimulate immune cells in the gut, so they send a kind of alarm signal to the brain. Here it activates immune cells that help the brain recover from injuries. Since the brain decides when we eat, The microbiome is interested in a healthy brain. A new field of science is opening up here, and we're just on the verge of understanding how these complex systems inside our bodies interact. But we are starting to see how much our microbiome actually influences us and our behavior. Take depression, for example. Healthy rats fed microbes from the guts of depressed people began showing anxiety-like behavior and symptoms that look like depression. And in early 2017, a study linked the microbiome to intelligence by connecting a certain setup of bacteria in newborns with better motor and language skills. But it might also influence our daily lives. Tests with fruit flies showed that their microbiome influenced what kinds of food they craved. This could mean your microbes are able to tell your brain which food it should get them, although this is not a one-way street. The seed for our microbiome comes from our mother, but how it develops and changes is determined by what we eat.
So I hope that helps you a little bit understand, probably explains it a lot better than I did. I just wanted to share with you kind of what the research has shown in a cartoon fashion to see if it would get home to you a little bit more. And we have just a couple more of those coming up. So we know that your eating behavior is manipulated by these friendly bacteria, the microbiota. And there's great research studies show that your cravings, they really come from two things. They come from your memory and your flora, your good bacteria in your body, okay? So what I mean by memory is this, I remember growing up that my mom always had a Pepsi. And I just remember that growing up. And so I'm like, oh, I love Pepsi. I remember that. It just gives me warm feelings thinking about my mom. And so that memory's there. And at times I'm like, man, I remember, being here with her and so on. And that desire to have something because of a memory, that's there. But the actual craving for it, that comes from the microbiota, the flora, the good bacteria in your body. They are the ones that help decide the actual craving. And so that's a big difference. The microbes, the good bacteria in your intestinal tract, are under selective pressure to manipulate the host eating behavior for them. In other words, what it's saying is they want to be hit, they want to be fit and healthy and all this, and they care more about that than you. And so they're going to go after the foods that they were taught to eat. And they'll go after them. And because they're easily manipulatable, though, by probiotics, things that kill them, antibiotics, by dietary changes, the research shows that if we alter our probiotics, our microbiota, it offers an approach to things like obesity and unhealthy eating, the cravings that we never thought possible. And the research is so strong and exciting about this, all about that friendly flora. So let me take you to the next level, the real short little video here on this subject.
The organisms in our gut feed on different things. Some like fibers and leafy greens, others go for sugars and starches, and some love greasy fries and butter. Our gut is like a garden in which we constantly decide what will grow and blossom. If we eat healthily, we breed bacteria that like healthy food.
What happens is this is a picture of the actual probiotic in the body. And the probiotic or the flora will crave the certain foods. And if it's craving fruits and vegetables, then that's what craving that goes to your brain for you to crave. If it craves other foods like pizzas and things like that, if that's what it's used to eating, then guess what? That's what it ends up craving. So the microbiota themselves are raised craving what they're fed. And so it's important for us to be able to feed them the right foods so that they'll crave the right foods. That's the exciting concept I was really wanting to share with you there. And there are things that destroy the friendly bacteria, the antibiotics that destroy it. And it's this research study shows it leads to one of the biggest problems today of obesity because we're destroying the friendly bacteria. Anti means against, biotic means life. So an antibiotic destroys, we're hoping the bad bacteria, that's why we're taking it, right? But it also destroys the good bacteria. And just antibiotics themselves can lead to obesity based on a lot of studies, but this one specifically, because it showed that we replace these good friendly bacteria with whatever comes to play. And a lot of times they're not the best bacteria, and it ends up making it so that you actually crave bad foods. And the association between the friendly microbiota, the friendly flora in the body, and obesity has been observed in humans quite a bit. And they've actually did studies to show where they took bacteria from a healthy person and put it into or a person that's not healthy and was obese into a healthy person, and they got obese. It was an amazing research study, and we'll see if this one plays for us real quick.
But we just don't know enough about the complex interplay at work here yet. For example, a transplant from an overweight donor cured a woman's diarrhea, but contributed to her obesity down the line. This caused some waves, and another study tried to reverse the effect. Poop transplants from slim people to obese ones gave them a more diverse microbiome and made them less sensitive to insulin. Both things that also happen when people lose weight.
Basically, they had these studies, and they showed in these studies that groups of people that they were giving them these flora to try to help them with things like they had diarrhea real bad, or constipation. And they said, well, let's take these friendly flora from a healthy person and implant it into this person that's, diarrhea, things like that. That's how that first study started. And they gave it to them, and all of a sudden they cleared up. They didn't have diarrhea anymore. But in one of the studies, the person that donated the probiotics was really heavy, obese, overweight, and the person that got them, that got cured, actually wasn't. But that person ended up getting obese, gaining a ton of weight. And they're like, no way, how'd this happen? I wonder if we take the flora from a healthy person that wasn't obese and put in that same person that got obese, and they did, and guess what? They lost all the weight. Isn't that the craziest thing in the world? And that research study was amazing, and it started feeding other research studies. And so what we learned was that your friendly bacteria, that the foods they crave to make them fit and healthy, are the foods that then your brain will crave. And so if we make sure that the good bacteria in our body are craving the right foods, guess what? Then you will crave the right foods too. That is probably one of the most amazing breakthroughs and bits of information I can share with you. And we know now what friendly flora or microbiota are needed to create a healthy food and create that happiness creating gut. Is that the mindset being positive, and that we're craving those healthy foods. We know now the flora that does that, the friendly flora, the probiotics. And there's names for a lot of them. You've probably heard of Acidophilus, or probably heard of the other ones, Bulgaricus, Plantarum, Salivarius. There's so many. And I know it just kind of looks foreign to a lot of you, but these are specific names, specific species, we call them, of friendly bacteria. And it's important to have all of these in the gut, because in the gut itself, or in the bowels, what happens in there is that each of these friendly bacteria reside in a different place in the bowel. In other words, the Acidophilus is in one area, the Bifidus is another. And each of these bacteria do different things. Some of them boost your immune system. Some of them really help with the cravings. Some of them actually make enzymes and make little vitamins. They make an enzyme called lactase to help digest lactose. And so each of them have their job, and it's important they all are present. So you need to add back all the bacteria, all the different families or species of them, not just one. And if you do that, you get some amazing things happening. And what Dr. Shahani shared with me was, he said, you also need to make sure when you're giving those probiotics to the body, like if you're eating fermented foods, do you know that in America, we're the only country, I think us in Canada, that don't eat fermented foods as a part of our daily lifestyle. If anywhere else you go, if any of you have traveled, think about it for a second. So just where we've been lately, we went to Korea last year to a big show, and everyone fed us kimchi, right? Kimchi, with all of a sudden, gosh, it's fermented cabbage. If we go somewhere to Japan or someone, you're gonna get miso soup, but the real miso soup. You go to Germany, you're gonna get sauerkraut, but the real sauerkraut that's fermented. Every country has it but us. And so we need to take that flora in those fermented type foods, or take a flora supplement, get their good friendly bacteria in there. And there's certain things that help feed them to build them up in the body, and certain types of foods called Jerusalem artichokes and other things. And we also now, thanks to Dr. Shahani, have the ability to ensure that those friendly bacteria don't die when they hit the acid of our stomach and the heat and that type of thing. And this is just one of those studies showing that, because that was kind of a cool thing that we had trouble with way back in the 80s, is getting the probiotics into the body and them not dying on the way in. And so our next breakthrough is this, is that we have found that if you live a lifestyle, an optimal lifestyle, in other words, for 21 days, that you create new habits. You're like, okay, I'm here. I'm going to get off soda. I'm going to not eat the fried foods. I'm going to do these things. And like we all do, right? We all do it at different times of the year, but then we fall off. Well, many times we fall off because it's not our fault. It's our probiotics, our bacteria craving the bad stuff, and we give in. So what we've learned is that if we can go for 21 days and we make healthy changes, all of a sudden we can create habits for a lifetime. And it's those 21 days that are critical. Let me share with you why it's so important. Your taste buds. So if you look in the back of your tongue back there where they get bigger, the taste buds, your taste buds live 10 days based on the research. And on average, we have about 5,000 taste buds. And they last 10 days and then they turn over. So let's say we went and had a food from Budapest. Do you crave food from Budapest? Probably not, because you haven't had it, or you haven't had it in a long time. What the deal is you go through those cravings. We have something to eat and then we don't eat it. We go through a set of taste buds, we go through another set of taste buds, and then on that third set of taste buds, that 21st day, we don't crave that food as much because of the taste buds. It's not there anymore, right? It's new. And so now it goes back to, are we going to still crave it? Well, maybe it was a cool experience. I might think, oh, that was cool, and I like that experience. And also, if we fed our probiotics, our gut, and it was a bad food, and they started loving it, we kept giving it that bad food, then all of a sudden it starts craving it. Your bowel does, and that's where the problem is. So what we've learned, and we've been teaching this now for almost over 25 years. 25 years, and this was the secret, and I'll share with you at the end what it did for us to do this. It's a little secret weapon that now that I'm not working as intensely in the MBA, and that I'll share with you, some of you can take advantage of. But it's a secret that we've used that we're sharing with you with this new research, and it's called the 21-Day Health Challenge. And the 21-Day Health Challenge, a long time ago when we started, all it was this, and it was extremely effective. That athletes would come up to me or people and say, all right, you want to work, you want to get better, you want to get healthier, and sick patients and all that, get off carbonated beverages, white flour, limit your processed sugars to 50 grams a day, no fried foods. I want you to eat more raw foods, get some exercise, just something each day. I want you to supplement your basic nutrients back. And the big one is they're like, what do you mean by limit processed sugars to 50 grams a day? Like, come on, what does that mean? What it means is you count your sugar. You don't have to count sugar in fruit. If it's the actual fruit itself, if it's fruit juice, you have to count it. But you just look on the label and you say, oh, this has got 5 grams of sugar. All right, now I've got 45 left. And you go and you do not allow yourself more than 50 grams. And I promise you I'm being generous. Really, the ultimate is to be down to 25 grams a day or less. But most Americans consume 200 to 300. So 50 is a stretch to start with. So we're at 50 grams a day and we go from there. And that has helped so many people. Thousands of people do it for 21 days, and then they're able to stick with it for life and make changes that just affect them in a positive way. But now we have a secret weapon on top of that. Now, before I get to the secret weapon, I want to share with you that you must digest your food for many reasons, but for just one quick reason today is so that your autoimmune antigens don't enter the system. And you're like, well, what are autoimmune antigens and why do I care? All that big word means is that there are things that enter your body that mimic, that kind of look like different tissues in your body. And so your body will send white blood cells in and kill them, get them out of the way and destroy them. But if you keep bringing those guys in and bringing those guys in, then over time, your body starts making all these extra white blood cells, and they mistake that thing that got in your body, okay, that shouldn't be in there. They mistake it for a tissue of the body. So they start attacking that tissue because it kind of resembles that thing that you took in, that food you took in, or something that didn't digest well in your body. And all of a sudden we got getting these diseases, these autoimmune diseases where the body attacks itself. That's what autoimmune disease is, when the body attacks itself. But if we digest our food, when we eat food, we ensure it's digested all the way down. We don't have to worry about those things. So let me give you one example. If you drink milk, so I don't mean raw milk. Some of us were raised on raw milk. I'm talking about processed milk, milk that's been cooked and heated, like you usually buy in the store, that it sets in the store for a long period of time. Then that milk, that processed milk that allows them to keep it on the shelves and that, it doesn't have any of its enzymes in it, the natural enzymes that are in raw milk that would make it rot, or that are in an apple that would make it rot. And so they are taken out, so they'll stay longer on the shelf. But if we're drinking that milk or any type of dairy, okay, and your body tries to break that milk down to the single little molecules, we call them amino acids in this case. If it's trying to break it down and it breaks it all the way down to single little amino acids, gets in your body and the body uses it for muscle and other proteins and helps carry blood things around, is really cool. And that's awesome. But if it doesn't get digested all the way down because there's no enzymes in the food, the food's been cooked and processed. When we cook food over 118 degrees, the enzymes are destroyed. So we cook the food, we have the processing of the dairy. Now, there's no enzymes in it to digest it for you. Your body has to do all the work. And when your body has to do all the work, sometimes it doesn't do it as well because there's no help from the food. And in this case, in dairy, sometimes it breaks down instead of into one little amino acid so it can get in and give you health and energy and strength. There's 7 amino acids bound together. And those 7 amino acids a lot of times get into your gut. And if your good flora is really not doing too well, and we've been stressed and we haven't been eating right, then all of a sudden the flora, the bacteria that's in there, the good guys, they're not as tight as they're supposed to be. And they allow these larger molecules to get in, like these chains of 7 amino acids, like in the case of milk. So it allows this BCM, bovine cow's milk, 7, okay? This milk that didn't get all the way broken down, it allows it in the gut. And guess what happens? Over time, it creates diabetes, the #1 autoimmune disease there is. In other words, these little guys get in the body and they start eating the body's tissue and make it so your body can't make insulin anymore. Isn't that crazy? And you're like, I haven't heard that before. Well, here's 4 studies proving that. Let me give you a little more research. If you look at countries as to their incidence of diabetes, you can see that it directly correlates with the higher milk consumption. In other words, the more milk a country drinks, the higher rate of diabetes. So is this an anti-milk webinar? No. I just want to give you one example of when we don't digest our food all the way and it doesn't break it down into the little single molecules the body uses to build the body up, the body will start attacking them. And if those little molecules that aren't broken all the way down resemble something in the body, and sometimes the body will start attacking itself, thinking it's those undigested foods. And in the case of milk, that happens. And what's amazing is that there's actually, if you look at the graph of casein, one of the proteins in milk, and the islets in the body, the islet is in the pancreas where the body makes insulin, and it has a protein, covering. Those islets, the protein covering, resemble exactly the same as those 7 amino acids from that casein that didn't break down. So in other words, the body thinks, oh, that must be that thing we're going after, and it starts attacking itself, and that's bad news. So we want to digest our food. I hope I really drove that point home to you, is you want to digest your food. And so we make deposits into our bank account by eating raw foods and taking supplemental plant enzymes, and we make withdrawals from that bank account by eating cooked and processed food. And what does that bank account do? Well, if we use up all the enzymes to digest fat, we get the #1 killer today, heart disease. We digest up all the enzymes that digest protein, then we get arthritis, gout, things like that. So we don't want to use up that bank account. So when we have fat, we eat fat, we have some, like a good avocado. Well, the enzymes are in it. The enzyme lipase that digests lipose, or fats in the fat, when we eat an avocado, and it turns it into fatty acids and the body uses it. But if we have a fried piece of chicken or something and that fried fat and oil that's on there, the enzymes aren't present, lipase isn't there, all of a sudden now our body can't use it, it gets stored as fat, triglycerides, cholesterol, bad stuff. So every food, like carbohydrates, it takes enzymes to break it down, breaks it down into disaccharides. You might have heard of something called like maltose before, like malt milkshakes, lactose. And then you have to have enzymes to break those down to usable energy in the body. Same thing with protein. We have to have the enzymes to break them down all the way to amino acids, like in the case of that milk and the casein that was in the milk, that form of protein. So when you eat cooked or processed food, you have chosen to destroy the digesting enzymes. You've chosen that. So if you didn't want to eat the food raw, you chose to cook it. You chose to kill the enzymes. One of the simplest and most beneficial things you can do for your health is decide to add back the enzymes. So, you know, I always joke because I get calls once in a while from people, some of the athletes and that'll be like, I don't want to keep taking all these enzymes, Doug. You make me take too many. And I'm like, I don't make you take any. I don't make you take any. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, eat more raw food. When you eat raw food, you don't have to take any. It's your choosing to eat the cooked food. You choose that. So you need to choose to add them back. This isn't me. This is on you. And so basically, when you eat raw food, you don't take any digestive enzymes because they're already in the food. I have that avocado. I have that raw vegetable, whatever it might be. Now, if I eat a meal that's half cooked and half raw, so an example, let's say I have a nice big salad and put some, you know, meat in, a chicken or something like that. Well, then I take one digestive enzyme because it's kind of half and half. But if the meal's completely cooked, whether it's healthy or not, let's say I have cooked rice, cooked vegetables, and then a protein like a salmon or something like that, okay? Or even cooked beans. Well, that's a healthy meal, but it's all been cooked over 118 degrees, so the enzymes are destroyed. So I need to add back the enzymes. It was my choice to take them out. So I hope you understand that. It's a very important part of this because it'll help with cravings a lot. So in the 21-day challenge, I told you about a system. We have the system, and the system's in place that'll help you be able to reprogram your cravings. And what it is it's a 21-day calendar. Well, part of it's this 21-day calendar. And in this 21-day calendar, each day, it gives you something to do. Don't drink carbonated beverages. No white flour. Limit your sugar to 50 grams like we talked about. No fried foods. Eat more raw foods. Get regular exercise, supplement. And you can even add one on there that if there's something else you're wanting to do that you know you should. And each day you check that. And you go through the day and you make sure that you have each of those boxes checked each day. Boom. End of the day, boom. Made day one. Write the date on it. Go to the next day. And your goal is to make it 21 days. And you make it 21 days. You'll be able to have those 3 sets of taste buds. You won't crave the food as more. And the neat thing about it is that we have the secret weapon. And the secret weapon is this, that if you complete the program to be able to reprogram your mind in that by just following those principles. In other words, you're working hard to be able to put those foods in. We have something that will help ensure that you're able to stick with them. And here's a couple of testimonials recently from our staff here down here in Pima, Arizona, that we challenged them to do this 21-day Blitz challenge. And Marissa said that she was skeptical at first, but after a week, she started noticing the changes. And so it's okay to be skeptical, but just follow it and watch what happens. And it happened with her. The craving stopped, and she said, I noticed my skin getting clear. And it was like this afterthought. It's like, hey, my skin got clear. And I didn't think I could stop the energy drinks, and I tried many times. And it was funny because I asked her if you drink sodas. She goes, no, just energy drinks. So Marissa, energy drinks are sodas. So they just have a lot of extra stuff in them. But she says, I haven't craved or had an energy drink or candy since. I love the results. That's amazing. She's able now finally to stay away from those energy drinks when before it just, you go right back to it. And we've all gone through that. Mariah said that she gave up soda a few times, or one time even for quite a while she was getting ready to train for this marathon. And I think it was a Tillman marathon, Pat Tillman. But then she got back on them, and she thought she was like predisposed. Remember that genetic concept at the first? Well, she thought because her family all drank sodas and everyone around her that she was predisposed for, soda and other things genetically. There's just genetics, the whole family drinks them. But now she can stay away and have control. And if she does drink, she doesn't like crave it and finish it and anything like that. And she also noticed that she enjoyed vegetables much, much more. That's the type of thing that happens. And remember Mike in the beginning, who's lost all that weight and has been trying. And I know this guy, he's tried every fad diet in the world the last year and a half. And he just started going crazy. He's like, man, I'm not even on a diet. I just made some changes, stayed away from certain foods, added foods. And I took the flora and reprogram my gut. And now I'm able to keep these healthy habits. And so what the 21-day Blitz challenge is, the secret weapon is this. In the booklet is the 21-day challenge. And you all can just do that if you want. It's just a booklet, and you just follow it and you do the 21 days. But the secret is, if you take the digestion enzymes when you eat cooked or processed food, and then if you add in the Flora Blitz is the secret. We've shared with you for half an hour the research on the probiotics in the microbiota in the body. This is critical. We were able to formulate a packet that has 100 billion colonizing forming units. And that, I don't know if that means a lot to y'all, but 100 billion is a lot. And there's 100 billion in each little packet that go in and just wipe out the bad guys in your gut, reprogram, they're in there. And guess what? You put a pack of that in every day. You take a pack of the probiotics. You are completely recolonizing the gut with these friendly bacteria. What does that mean? That means they're all new. It's like virgin territory. And so when you start eating healthier foods on the 21-day challenge, you have to do that. You have to start eating healthier foods, get off the fried foods, limit your sugar. Those probiotics, those flora will be programmed to crave those healthy foods you're putting in the body. Now, when you get to the end of the 21 days, not only have you reprogrammed because you got 3 sets of taste buds now and you're ready to roll, but now you've got your good bacteria, 50% of your body saying, hey, give us more vegetables. Hey, limit that sugar intake. That stuff tastes too sweet. You know, we were used to only 50 grams or less a day. And it is amazing. It is a life changer because now you have that extra help to be able to reprogram your gut with the flora and continue to digest the food to help you be able to stick with your changes in your eating habits. So as I said at the beginning, it's not easy, but it's easier. Isn't that, how many of you have decided on your own to improve your health? And we all have. And then we start, but then that cake comes along or that party comes along or just that weekend. Usually, sometimes we restart every week, right? And so we really want to understand that it's critical that we follow the program, add back the friendly flora so that we're able to reprogram the mind. So when we get off of it, we can stick with it for life. So if you had trouble sticking to your eating plan, depression at times, cravings at times, I'm going to challenge you to take the 21-day Blitz challenge. And here's what I want you to do. Many of you are on the phone today or on the webinar because your doctor asked you to be. And so I want the doctor to be your accountability partner. Everyone needs accountability partner. For those of you around the valley here and that, we'll be your accountability partner with you. But I want you to go to your doctor. Tell them you want the 21-day Blitz challenge. Most of the doctors are prepared for this and got them ready at their clinic. If not, they'll order or do the special thing called direct script where they'll have it sent right to your door. And the cost of it's $100. And so you get everything with it for the 21 days. The doctor will work with you on it. For those of you that are here, you can just call in the office and we'll share with you and we'll be able to help take care of you. The key is you get that accountability partner. Now, we want to be your accountability partner also along with your doctor, okay? Because we know every person needs to be able to improve eating habits, eat healthier foods, crave right foods, and at the cell level, just have things work better. There's so many other benefits we can't even talk about right now. The less risk of disease, longevity, all those great things. We could go into research studies all night on, but we'll just kind of leave it at that. Now, how many of you, I want to do a little poll with you really quick as we're ending up here. And I want to find out how many of you actually drink soda. And so I'm going to launch a poll right now. It should be pulling up on your screen. And it says, do you drink soda? And I want you to answer this based on within a week, okay? Within a week, do you drink soda, okay? And so let's see where we're at with this, of how many of you that at least once a week have some soda in your life. And we'll see what group here is with us tonight. And as that poll's being taken, I'd like just to ask y'all to do it. It won't pull up your name or anything like that. Just like everyone to vote on here, just to see what we got on this evening on this webinar. Now, so a lot of you might be thinking, are you thinking of someone else right now that needs to do the challenge because they have a hard time? Like many times I go to these seminars and I'm like, oh man, I got this friend, Joe, I got Jill. She really needs to do the 21-day challenge because man, they don't stick with their their eating habits very well and all this, and they just really need to do this, and I'm going to recommend them do it, and that's great. And I want you to recommend people to do it. And I'm going to stop the polling right now, which is really exciting to me because on average, okay, in America today, 9 out of 10 people drink soda. 9 out of 10 people. But on this call tonight, we have 83% of you that don't. That is an exciting number, and I appreciate you sticking with that. So the great thing with you about the 21-day challenge is you'll be able to help your body at a higher level. Instead of just getting rid of the cravings for soda and that, it'll help you take things to a higher level of healing, because once the friendly bacteria can really focus on longevity and quality of life, it's an exciting thing. So let's go on real quick and help you understand as we close here why I mentioned about, we always think about someone else when it comes to, oh yeah, they'd be good for that. They should do that program. Well, there was a movie out. A lot of you remember the Hobbits and that, and this Gandalf, what's his name? Gandalf, he's one of the main guys there. He said, it does not do to leave a live dragon out of your calculations if you live near one. And what he meant by that is like, look, if we have problems with cravings, we want to lose a little extra weight, we want to be able to get our act together longer and not cave when things come around. Let's worry about ourselves. Let's worry about that dragon in our body, in our stomach, and we need to focus on it and then share it with others. And so we want you to be the change that you wish to see in the world. And we're going to make it even easier for you tonight. Want you to get with your health professional to get with the program. And then what we're going to do, though, is that we're going to help you with the end result. Now, recap, 50% of your body's bacteria. We're going to reprogram it to control cravings, create a positive mindset, stick with weight loss goals. This is the gut-brain axis and psychobiotics, okay? The research that we shared. I shared with you over 200 research studies today. I know we blew by them, but just so that you knew that the research was there on this subject and didn't have to believe us. And then you get that increased longevity and quality of life. So here's what we're doing. When you contact your health professional or here at OHS, when you're done with the 21-day challenge and you've checked every box, if you check each box, and we're just going to take your word for it, and you be honest with us, and you follow 21-day challenge, we know it will change your life. You just take a picture of that, show it to your doctor, or send to us, and we'll send you a free Optimal Health Systems healthy t-shirt. And we'll just do that for you. I know that's just kind of a small thing, but that's how much we really care about you following this program. And we'll do that clear up to February 14th. That gives you a week to get the program and get on it, and then 21 days following it and still have time to finish it. And what we did here at the office is we gave the office the ability to do it, and they were able to have 2 boxes that they missed. And so a couple of them planned for it, and they were able to say, look, I know I'm going to be here at this time. Man, I'm not sure how much sugar is going to be this. It's a wedding and that's my one time that I'm going to click that box. And even though I'm going to try hard there, I'm just not sure exactly, if I'm going to stay under the 50 or whatever it might be. But you have 2 boxes. Other than that, if you fill everything else in, then you'll get that free shirt. And we just wanted to thank you for that. And I know a lot of the doctors out there are doing some special things for you. And we encourage you to follow the program. And we're really a mission that became a company. In closing, I want to share with you why we say we're a mission that became a company. The story is this, is that there was, when I first got started in training people all over the world, it happened in just not all over the world to begin with, but it happened actually in this garage area type thing. And it was actually a part of a mortuary on one side of it. And that mortuary was one of those things that people go to for real cheap mortuary help, and they actually cremated the bodies there and things like that. And we opened this little training center there. And that training center, it was crazy because people would come and I'd say, hey, see us now or see them sooner, talking about the place next door. And we'd train people in that training center, and we would take them through the workouts and do all the things that is needed to be able to help them reach optimal health. And then one time, this guy came to the center. He said, hey, I've got a friend that I want to, introduce you to. And this friend was a guy that, couldn't be there during the normal hours. And so I said, okay, come in. And so this guy came in, and he was this professional basketball player, and his name was Danny Ainge. And Danny Ainge came in, and he said, hey, I'm really upset at, my team, and that, because they didn't tell me that taking these antibiotics or these NSAIDs all this time were going to hurt my liver. And they tell me I have a liver of an alcoholic. And he said, because of my religion, I've never even drinking alcohol or anything like that. And so I'm really upset, and I want to do something about it. And so put him on a program, had him change them. He had some bad habits. He'd go by and get donuts every morning on his way to the arena. He stopped by this Winchell's Donuts, I believe it was. And he would stop by there and go in. And so we got him off this, put him on the 21-day challenge, and got him rolling, got great benefit. And then all of a sudden he started referring his friends in. And some of his friends were people that some of you might know, like Dan Marley and Charles Barkley. And all of a sudden next thing I knew, I was part of the Phoenix Suns and as their nutritionist. And it was all because of helping someone basically reprogram cravings, helping them. We did help him with the problem with the liver and that, but helping them to be able to improve their health at the highest level. And that really was exciting for us, because then it opened up the door for all kinds of things to happen. And we were super excited about being able to then take it to the next level. And I'm telling you that for all of you, if you follow the program, what will happen in your life is that you're going to get the benefit. And then people are going to see that in you, and you're going to share it with them. And things will open up to you that you never thought possible, because people want to be able to get that next level of health. They want to be able to break through their cravings. And that's possible for you, and it's possible for others you come in contact with, that will open up great opportunities for you. So I want to thank you tonight for taking your time. And for a few minutes here, we'll go ahead and open it up for questions and answers. If any of you have any questions, just type them in. And we've got Damon here with our IT department that will help us with it, and we'll answer the questions for you. So our first one is up from Terry Hoover. Terry says that our plain carbonated soda water is also bad. Great question, Terry. The truth is that if it's carbonated, it has carbonic and phosphoric acid in it. So I don't care if it's Perrier water, it's still carbonated. So yes, it's still bad for you because of the carbonic and phosphoric acid. Now, is it better than these drinks that now have tons of sugar in them and tons of caffeine and all of that in it? Absolutely it is. Absolutely it's better. And so you'll want to be able to stay away from carbonation for the 21 days completely. If you have it in the future, all right, well, is the straight carbonation, the plain carbonated sodas better? Sure they are. But best off staying away from the acid. The acid, the carbonic and phosphoric acid, is what causes the problems. That's what destroys the friendly bacteria in the body. And that's what we really want to stay away from. And yes, beer and alcohol is carbonated. And so that's one of the other questions that come up. Let's see, let's go to Christy Goodall. She says, do you have to stay on the supplements and digestion after the 21 days? Good question. You don't have to stay on the Flora Blitz probiotics after the 21 days, because that is an extremely high dosage of probiotics. So unless you're on antibiotics all the time, or in situations where you're constantly destroying it, you don't. I recommend after that you just take digestion, because the digestion is when you eat cooked and processed food. And we did put some of the probiotics in digestion, so you wouldn't have to take extra probiotics. So on a normal basis, just the digestion after the 21 days. And in the 21-day Blitz package is a little pouch. It's a little green pouch. I don't know if you saw that in there or not. And in that green pouch, and I challenge you to ever find me when you can't find mine. Okay, anywhere we go, you have this pouch, and you put the digestion enzymes in it. So then when you go eat, you just open it up, grab your enzyme, and take it with the meal, 1 or 2, depending on the meal. And you put it in your pocket, your purse, and you go on your way. And so that's a great way to go about it. All right, let's go on a little bit here. Stacy Gibney, does stevia usage count towards sugar intake? Great question. Guess what? No, stevia is not sugar. Stevia is good for you. Stevia does not count against your sugar. So you can use stevia all day long. That's a great question. Carrie Stiles, she says that fermented foods give me gas. How do you make this not happen? I take Flora Plus and Digestion currently. How is a plus different than the Blitz? Good question. So fermented foods gives me gas. So if you take a probiotic or an enzyme and you get gas, that tells you that there are a lot of undigested foods or bad bacteria in there, and it's destroying them or digesting those foods, and you might be getting a little bit of the gas from that. So there's two ways to go about it. Start slower, or just go at it like with the Blitz, and it would probably be just even like a part of a day that you are that way, and the body will clean out, and you should get good help with that. So you might want to check with your health professional, but you'll find out that the answer is still the same. You just want to go about it either slower or faster to be able to help with that in the body. And once you do have the body reinoculated with good bacteria, you're going to find that you're going to love your fermented foods again, like what's kimchi and those types of things. And so Cynthia asks, what about the addition of more fruits and veggies? Don't they change the cravings in combination with the probiotics? That's the whole point. Absolutely. You got it. Is that on the 21 days, we're improving our fruits and vegetable intake, raw vegetables, fruits. So that's what the probiotics we're putting, those 100 billion CFU, colonizing forming units, 100 billion probiotics in the one little pack. You're taking every single day. They're going in there and just armies going in, and they're hungry, and you feed them the healthier foods, the more vegetables and fruits. That's what they're going to start craving. So when you're done, you're going to crave more fruits and vegetables. That's like, I think it was Mariah's testimony. She's like, I actually like vegetables now, and I'm starting to eat them more often because your gut, their bacteria are craving them. It goes up through the enteric nervous system, the vagus nerve to the brain, saying we want more healthy foods. But if you eat the bad foods, that's what they crave, and that's what makes it hard for you to stick with your healthy eating plan. Anonymous says, how good is kombucha for you? Kombucha is great research to show that it's good for you. And one of the reasons is that it is actually fermented. And so there's many different forms. And so you kind of have to pick and choose and make sure you're getting based off of the right types of foods and that, but it can be good for you. Carrie asks, does OHS, do we have a prebiotic? And what would you recommend? And so what she's asking is, a prebiotic is nutrients that the good probiotics eat to be able to make them stronger and to make them grow. Kind of think about turning them into warriors, just a normal person turning them into a warrior. And that's what prebiotics do. And I had a slide there, and I probably didn't say it too well, and I apologize, Carrie, but in one of the slides I showed that from Dr. Shahani's work, we found out the exact prebiotics that go with the formula. And every one of our formulas have probiotics in it, whether it's the Flora Blitz or the Flora Plus or the Digestion. We have some of these prebiotics in there. And the prebiotics are mainly come from things like Jerusalem artichoke, these very special types of veggies that have a compound called oligosaccharides. And in the case of Jerusalem artichoke, it's called fructooligosaccharides. And we've learned through the research that the friendly flora love these guys, and they love veggies, and they grow on them and they get stronger. So yes, and it's in there. You don't have to worry about taking anything on top of it. So basically, the question came up again about, taking flora after the Blitz or after the 21 days. I personally take flora on a daily basis on top with my digestion. I do. I'm just saying that if you're living a healthier lifestyle, the flora in the digestion formula itself might be enough for you. But if you have a heavy stress day, you drink soda, something acidic, a lot of red meat, things like that, take an antibiotic, you're going to need flora on top of it. Okay. We have Mary asking, does the Blitz probiotic pack kill off all the bad bacteria? That's the plan. Now, obviously, is there some people in some situations that they have some nasty probiotic or nasty bacteria in there that might need a little extra help? That's up to your health professional for sure. But we have found, as have thousands of doctors that we work with, that a lot of the time they're able to just blitz the system, Flora Blitz, with 100 billion CFU, Flora Blitz 100. I know I'm not too creative in making the names for the products, but they blitz the system, and it's so much that it overpowers the bad bacteria. And so most of the time, yes, some of the times no, and you might need extra help, whether it's with a cleanse or if you go the route with allopathic medicine, or antibiotic, whatever, but make sure that you've load back the good flora afterwards. You know, how many, the women that are watching and listening to this can answer this, right? You all know this, the answer to this question. You go and you take an antibiotic, and afterwards you go back to the doctor for what? A prescription for the yeast infection. All that meant was the antibiotic destroyed everything. Against life, destroyed everything, the good and the bad bacteria. Hopefully it killed all the bad bacteria, right? That's why you took it. It killed it. But because you didn't replenish the good bacteria, the probiotics, guess who came to play? The yeast, bad bacteria. And so now you want a prescription for it. And so we highly recommend that if you do take an antibiotic ever, if that's the thing that needs to happen or your doctor recommends, that you go on the Flora Blitz during and after, especially after though, to repopulate, colonize the bowel so that the bad bacteria won't come and you can get a fresh start. Okay, so I hope that helps you with that. Is there a test one can take to check the health of one's gut flora? There is. They're very expensive though, and people can do these fecal tests and things like that. There isn't one right now that's super inexpensive to do that personally that I've seen the research on that I like well enough. We have a lot of doctors. Of course, this is a great area, and there's great research in this area. There's just not one that, you know, run out and get type thing right now at this time. And the best thing to do is just load them with the good guys, change your eating habits, and just don't let the bad guys in. So another question from Linda talks about if a person has SIBO or these probiotics ones that will get in the large intestines and help. So there are situations where, here's the good news, is that the probiotics won't cause any harm. Like when you're talking about drugs and prescriptions and things like that, you're like, oh, do I weigh the side effects against this? And it wasn't the right drug, so I get the side effects. And, you know, that's the stress because every drug has a side effect. And you're like, you know, you got to figure out when it's okay to be able to take that drug. The worst case scenario here is you're going to be healthier. That's the worst case scenario. So if you have a situation where you're going in and it maybe didn't take care of all the bad bacteria, or you have a situation of like, we have these biofilms that sometimes the doctors have to come to us and we give them another formula to help with to cut down the biofilms to get to the bad bacteria in these situations. Go to your health professional or you call in, we can help you understand that a little bit better. But there's things you can do to help with it no matter what, to be able to get good bacteria to populate the entire bowel there. We'll do a few more. I appreciate these questions, but I know that a lot of you are just respectfully hanging on here. So I'll just hit a couple more of them. Would it be beneficial to do a water cleanse for 3 days prior to the 21-day blitz? Or should I do the water cleanse after the 21-day blitz, which is more effective? So personally, I'd recommend to do it before. And because after, you should be just floating pretty with everything, the bowel re-inoculated, nice flora baseline in there through the system and ready to go. So that's what I'd recommend. If people are taking blood thinning medication, so these are the last two for sure. This is from Linda. Can you comment on someone taking a blood thinning medication, taking any of the other supplements that take K1 and K2? So we're not really talking about the Flora Blitz or the 21-day blitz on this one. It's talking about some of the other pre-digested formulas that we make. And the bottom line with that is that K1 is something that you don't take along with blood thinners. K2 is a different animal. K2 gets calcium out of the blood, and that's great stuff. So you don't have to worry about it for that. And then the last one, can you say what product you use for biofilms? And that again, there is a product that you use for that. Oh, I missed the last one. Sorry. Thanks, Damon. Last one, can you still drink during the 21 days? And so can you drink during the 21 days? And if you're talking about alcohol, no drinking alcohol for the 21 days. That's kind of the ball game here. Because remember, one of those boxes was no carbonated drinks. Alcohol is carbonated. So there's many other reasons, but let's just leave it at that. That's definitely something you're going to commit to for the 21 days, and be able to help you with that. All right, getting pointed to here by IT. This one? That'll be it? Okay, and then it'll be all of them. All right. So do you take the flora caps all at once from Patty? Patty, yes, you do take them all at once. If you have a problem taking 5 capsules, then yeah, you can spread it out over a few minutes or whatever type thing. But the idea is to get them in at once, because we want an army to go through, not just trickle in. Every day, once a day, we want an army of flora coming in the system, just hammering the bad bacteria, and then they populate. The neat thing about these probiotics, these friendly bacteria, is one becomes a million in 7 hours. You got that? One becomes a million in 7 hours, and we're putting 100 billion in. We do the math on that. So we want them all in there. We're feeding them. Then you're going to feed them with healthy stuff, and it gets awesome. So yeah, we want to try to take them all at once. And the one right above it, Damon? Do probiotics alone change our cravings, or do the addition of raw veggies and fruits do that along with the probiotics and enzymes? Good question. So the probiotics themselves, based on the research we've shown, so let's just kind of finish with this. This is a great question. Based on the research, we know that the probiotics in our gut will crave the foods that make them the healthiest and the fittest. And if we get in with these new probiotics that we're putting in there, the friendly bacteria that we know will coat the entire gut, right? Then we feed them the healthier foods. They'll start craving those foods. So the probiotics alone will help change those cravings in your body, okay? Absolutely, because it does it through the gut-brain axis, and understand the cyclobiotics. Goes through the enteric nervous system, the vagus nerve, boom, and we get the serotonin release to be happier and more committed. We get the cravings for the healthier foods, and all the immune system benefits that we didn't have time to go into tonight. That's like a whole separate seminar of all the benefits from that. So absolutely, that does it. And so it's the serotonin, the mindset, those bacteria actually craving healthier foods. And so it's kind of the combination of them, but the probiotics is our secret weapon. That's what we didn't have before at this level. We always had good flora, but never at the level that's in the Flora Blitz 100 based on the research that we need to have when we're trying to make changes like this. That's why you don't have to take them all the time at that level. You might take a little bit of the flora and probiotics, but not at this level. This is for making that big change. So thanks so much. Gosh, it's an honor that you took this much time with me tonight. I hope it was worth your while. Get with your doctor. Start the Flora Blitz Challenge today. Take that challenge. I hope we'll be sending you a shirt. Take care.